Hello, welcome
Hey,
to
Michael.
yes.
Hi.
Welcome to the Uncommon Leadership Interview Series. Each episode, I chat with a leader in software just like you about their journey to seeing people as people. Today, I have Sam Reeve, CompTeam founder and manager consultant. Sam is a pay and talent performance expert and a certified global compensation professional. His extensive experience with pay programs and competitive compensation analysis, career architecture, and talent management allows him to help clients of rapidly growing firms see real, measurable results, including increased productivity and significant pay savings year over year. An innovative thinker with practical application, Sam strongly believes that everyone needs to be healthy and happy in their own lives in order to strive as a high-performing contributor. Welcome again, Sam.
Hi, Michael. Thanks for that great introduction. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm happy to have you. We always have great conversations, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this one goes today.
Yeah.
So as you reflect back over your journey to seeing people as people and leveraging their gifts, what first led you to realize that leveraging their unique gifts might be valuable?
Yeah. So when I started out my career, I started out in of course, compensation, thinking about how to put together pay plans and putting those plans together for performance. So, have those variable plans to kind of incent people to do better. But what I quickly found after years of doing that is that they weren't really taking hold all the time. There was something else that was missing. And of course, any HR practitioner out there nowadays, they know that the other pieces need to be in place before a pay program can take hold, such as the ability to have a good work environment. That employee value proposition needs to be in place. But most important, it was, do we select the right person for the role? A person that is happy doing that job, that has the passion for doing that role, and that was the true piece that drives work performance, is ensuring that a person has that passion. And so, really, in working with companies and in recruiting teams and so forth to help them select people that are really passionate for that role. I mean, we're looking for that innate drive and start asking questions that are more personal in nature, as far as what they want to achieve and so forth. And so that's what really was the first thing that got me to that place.
Was there a particular experience or situation that really triggered that for you?
Yeah, I think it was in talking to a couple of people, and most importantly, my children, I guess you could say. So when my kids started to work, they would go out and get jobs, at the fast food or dishwasher, things that, those entry level work. And they said, oh, I really don't like this. And then they would just hate to go to work, and they would come home and they would be completely drained. And I can tell that just there was not the place for them. And so then of course this is true in nature as well. I mean, if we put people in roles that they are not happy doing, or perhaps they have to bend or to do certain tasks in that role that they just typically don't like doing, then it just drains them of energy. And those are things that our clients can see, customers can see, and it's really difficult on that employee when they just, at the end of the day, they're just sapped of strength.
Yeah. The jobs that I've most enjoyed, when people ask me what I do, I would say I play. And the jobs I hated were definitely work. They were not play.
Right.
sometimes I think we play at work when work really should be play.
Mm. Yeah, that's a very important point. I had one of my youngest, or a mentor I had when I was young, was Adrian Kistler, and he was a ropes course engineer. He built ropes course for teams and team building in Grass Valley in Nevada City, California. And that was one of his core beliefs, is that through play we come together, and so, and as we know, when we see our children, and that's the first thing that they do when we meet another child in the field, is they get together and they begin a play, and they develop a relationship. Well, that's something that we can leverage at our organizations as well, to bring people together, to make them feel more comfortable in environments. I think that he was very profound in understanding that. I think that was 25 years ago now. So, yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I wish we could have a little play meter we could plug in to everyone on our teams. And so we could just monitor that. Because
Yeah.
as long as it's at like 80% or higher, then everything's great. And if it starts dipping, then things are going wrong.
For sure. And I think that, the future of work is going to find out how to add that element in. I mean, already there's pieces of, well, we just find that we're very creative through play as well. And
Yes.
so I think that is a great piece to ensure that it's in the workplace. It makes it fun. We can still get work done through play and through challenge and some of those events. And so I think that that's a very good strategy.
Yeah. So speaking of challenge, where have you found most challenging in helping businesses transform the way they think about their employees and how they match employees with the work needs to get done?
Mhm. The biggest challenge that I see with a lot of organizations and leaders is the old mindset of not understanding or putting people first. And so when I'm talking about that, it's not just the employees, but our customers. Often they're so customer focused that they fail to realize that there's a ecosystem here. There's the customer, the company, and how it supports the customer and their employees. Those three things. I call it the three-legged stool. And so it's super important for companies to understand that their own internal talent is critical in driving success of their overall firm and customer happiness. So the most difficult thing I have is going into those companies that they have an old mindset of they're not talent centric, and I have to coach them and saying your people are the key to ensuring that you're improving high performance, not across your organization, and also increasing the amount of satisfaction that your customers get.
How do you prove that? How do you show them the tangible value that comes out of this really squishy, touchy-feely stuff?
Well, of course, I mean, when you're going in, you can use other high performing companies as a model for that. But the true test is to start putting it into action. And so the first thing that I find is that in organizations, they're very poor at communication internally.
Mhm.
Manager employee communication, I mean, it is awkward, and managers often are not trained well enough to have effective communication. And so when that barrier is removed through training and development of those managers, immediate satisfaction comes into play of those employees feeling like they've been heard.
Yeah.
They know what to do next. They understand where they are as far as their performance, and you'll start seeing immediate changes in those teams. And as that expands across the organization, then you see more cohesion and people working together, and see more seamless operations. So it's very powerful.
Yeah. One of the tools I often introduce when I start working with teams, I call all the feels. And this is everyone has a couple minutes to talk about whatever's on their mind, work stuff, personal stuff, the game last night, whatever they want to talk about. And the the rest the rest of us, we don't get to react. And yeah, commiserating, groans, and chuckles at funny stories are inevitable, but we don't get to talk back about, well, what really happened is, or no, that's not what really happened, or even actually what you thought I was feeling isn't what I was feeling. That all can happen later. This is their time.
Hmm.
And I'm always amazed at what a difference it makes just right away. Even on teams that don't trust each other, having being told this is a safe place to talk about what's going on
Mhm.
and knowing that they aren't going to get shut down opens up the dynamics on the team in so many ways. And just that little bit of time, even if it's only every couple of weeks, and that's the only thing like this that happens on the team, has an instant impact on how well the team works together. And almost always, the team then starts building trust, and that's just helps everything work better.
I think that's such a great exercise, Michael. I think that's a valuable thing that you're bringing to organizations, because one of the things that a lot of team or team members experience is that when they're in among a team, and we've all been there, where we see, oh well, so and so is just not something's wrong, or they're upset, they don't know why, and these simple exercises like you just mentioned is a way to understand what's going on in everybody's life at that particular moment that's impacting their mindset, whether it's oh, my beloved pet that I've had for 10 years have died this morning, or I'm there's it's my kid forgot their lunch today before they went to school. I mean, there's things that weigh on our mind. I was just it was
Yeah.
so funny. And just yesterday, I was talking to one of my clients, and they were distracted. They were on their phone texting, and I was like, oh, what's wrong? It's like, oh, my child just called me because they ran out of lunch money in their account. So sharing these stories makes it real, makes it human, and we all understand what's going on, because a lot of the times we make false guesses. We judge people
Yeah.
based on things that are just assumptions, and we don't realize that there's something else going on, something that could be quite important or profound.
Yeah. And oftentimes because we don't understand what's going on for the other person, and we can't read their minds. And so often in business, we're told we're supposed to leave ourselves at the door and just be our work personality, that we assume that we're the only one having these things go on and everyone else has perfect lives. And then, of course, social media tells us this too.
Yes.
And these kinds of exercises of enabling the sharing helps us realize that we all have just as messy lives
Yeah.
as we have ourselves. And it helps gives us grace as much as it helps give the rest of our team grace.
Absolutely. And nothing is I mean, more powerful than showing that vulnerability, not even as a leader, to be more relatable. Of course. I mean, and I don't know, we've all had that experience growing through our lives, as we idolized our parents, thinking that they're perfect, right? And as we're younger, and as we get older, we're just like, going, well, they're just like me. That's I have some of the same problems. They have some of the same problems that I experienced, and we can more relate to them as we share stories. And so that is just with anything, including leadership in companies.
Yeah. I imagine you encounter resistance as you introduce these ideas to companies and teams from the individuals on the teams. And as much or more maybe from the leaders who maybe want this to change and haven't quite comprehended that this means they need to change as well.
Yes.
What are your sort of go-to or favorite ways to start converting that resistance into acceptance?
Well, a lot of it is taking a break, and from the conversation and going into a reflection or a storytelling. So going back in the time and sharing a moment where there was where I had that particular experience of a fear of taking that next step. And then also talking about that with that particular leader or the executive. Have you been in a situation where there's been risk or difficulty to take that step? And kind of bring that together and start to relate it to the current situation. Well, this could be, this is a very similar situation to where, we need to understand that there's fear of part of this decision. And if we have a thoughtful approach, if we take a look at a group and doing a beta test in certain areas, we can gain confidence as we go through this project together. And so it's a way to kind of ease their mind and walk them through it. But nothing is more important than in developing the confidence in yourself as that practitioner, bringing that leader through that journey. Because the most important thing for anyone to understand is that, do I have confidence in that person to get me there? And so as practitioners, it's important that we give our clients that comfort of confidence.
Yeah. I know for myself, as I'm working with individuals and teams, sometimes that client that I need to give that consolation and assistance to turns out to be myself, that I'm the one resisting what I'm experiencing. And so I need to handle that before I can help the people I'm there to help. Have you found the same?
Yes, absolutely. And so in a lot of situations, because of the things that it's important as me to understand as a professional, is the things that I knew 5 years ago or 10 years ago that worked well in organizations doesn't necessarily work well today. And so I have to go through this constant learning and testing and validation of my ideas. So the most important thing that I do to give myself confidence is to take time to do valid research and then get a very thoughtful approach of how I would apply it to a situation, step by step by step. And when I have that, and if I do that preparation before I go and see a client, then I can articulate those steps. I can talk about the rationale of each step and why we're doing it. And through this process, that it gives me confidence and also my client confidence at the same time, that it's been a well thought out process. Because it doesn't, we don't have to be right all the time, but it's good to have that saying, okay, well, this was the hypothesis when we started and we found out it was false, and that's that's okay. We went through the journey in a very thoughtful way of doing that, and we agreed on that together at the beginning. But that's business overall. We start out on a premise, and then halfway through, if the market changes or the environment changes or it doesn't work in that particular company, we have to shift gears and go in a different direction. So the comfort to fail is very important, and to find the right decision for any organizations. One of the biggest things I see wrong in large consulting firms is that they take a big box, a fixed product that they've used in a lot of different organizations, and it's like wearing a big set of pants. That I can put them on, but that when I take my hands off, they fall down or they don't fit right. I can't walk with them. So over time, we need to really make those adjustments to make it bespoke to the organization for the right fit.
Great. So as you're doing that customization, surprises will always come up that blow your plan out of the water. How do you maintain your confidence in the face of these surprises where now you don't have a plan for where to go next?
Well, so that happened to a lot of us, right? And when in the beginning of the pandemic a few years ago, we came up with something that was not tested in the marketplace. We had to do things that were different than what our regular reality was. And so I think that's the important part of testing any model that we put in place, is that if the fact that a shock comes and or challenges that model is very fortuitous, and for us to say, is this model going to be resilient enough for the future? If it's having problems with this particular shock, then perhaps we need to find other ways. And then going through the typical processes of learning new ways to approach can be a breakthrough, not only for the company, but for the industry as a whole. So brainstorming potential solutions, testing new directions, and so forth. So it can be a very powerful thing that create a strategic advantage for an organization. Like I said, failure is not necessarily a bad thing. It can be a test to drive the organization in a new direction.
Yeah, one of the things to remind my clients and myself is that we can never actually fall backwards, because everything we do has taught us something new. And so we're always moving forward. There's no way to avoid that. And if we're always moving forward, then that can remove a lot of the fear of falling back or failing, because we can only ever fail forward. And it's not really failing, it's just learning something we didn't expect.
Yes, right. And one thing as a professional in doing this for almost 30 years now is that it's true, there's great lessons from the past and how to do things, and the structure and the testing of theory. But as I became older and more experienced in this profession, is that we have to continually test things and adapt and learn together and moving forward. There's just constant new factors that come into the market, especially now. The pace of change is just ever quicker. And so we just need to adapt to these things, learn and move forward. I mean, I don't like the premise that a professional needs to know it all. We just need to know how to handle problems. We need to know how to be adaptable and to create resilience and agility.
Yeah, absolutely. So need to wrap up. The question I always ask at the end is, what else should I ask you?
Well, we've had a great conversation. I love where we've talked. I think the most important thing in a question for companies in this day and age is really the power of humanity. We're in the age of understanding, like I just talked about the pandemic a few minutes ago, and we're coming out of that, but there's been a change in society. People understand the vulnerability of life and how things can be shortened. And some of us have lost loved ones during that time, and so we know that life is short. And life is short with those people that we love. And so we're in a very period of humanity, and it's important for us to understand, take time to know our people, where they're at and what they are looking for in their future, to really to retain that important talent, to really have a cohesive workforce, and to drive performance in the future. It's critical.
Yeah. You may have just answered my last question. I'll ask anyway. What do you want to leave our listeners with today?
I think that is, we all have and I'm included in this. I get so busy, you know, and what I do in a daily basis that throughout the day, it's important that we take time to stop and reflect and think how we're presenting ourselves to others, and to take in consideration other people on our team and our clients and what's going on in our daily lives. It's sometimes when we get so rushed and we can just be a bull and mow things over to get them done. And it's important for us to understand how that impacts the others and our clients and the people that we love.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Sam. And all you listeners, if you've enjoyed our conversation today and you want to follow up with Sam, you can contact him at sam@compteam.net. That's COMP, like short for compensation, team, TEAM.net. And he's Sam Reeve on LinkedIn. And there's also the CompTeam People Strategy Forum on YouTube, which has great conversations like this with amazing guests every week. If you'd like a weekly email from me with stories about the topics like we've heard from Sam today, you might sign up for my newsletter at uncommonteams.com. And you can find me at my contact form there, or Michael at uncommonteams.com. Thank you so much, Sam.
Thanks, Michael. It's been a pleasure.